Hey, what's up, guys? DarkArmedDuelist, and we're going to be doing an Exosister deck profile. So I'm really excited for you guys because this deck is a super interesting deck that revolves around the buddy system. That if you control one of your Exosisters on your side of the field, you can get extra effects if you have their partner when you activate their ability. It also revolves around if your opponent moves a card out of the graveyard, that you can turn your Exosisters into extremely powerful XZ monsters with a single card, which is super cool. So without further ado, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can come part notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name screwed in every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting your requested deck profile every single month you're a patron, along with test hands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing 3 copies of Exosister Elise. Elise is a super good card for this deck because she has the ability, if you control an Exosister monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then if you control an Exosister Stella, you can gain 800 life points. And if your opponent moves a card out of their graveyard, except during the damage step, you can special summon from your X deck an Exosister XZ monster using this card you control as a material. And it's treated as an XZ summon, which is a super good effect for this card to have. We then play 3 copies of Exosister Stella. She has an ability that during your main phase, you can special summon an Exosister monster from your hand. And if you control an Exosister Elise, you gain 800 life points. And if your opponent moves a card out of their graveyard, except during the damage step, you can special summon your X deck one Exosister XZ monster using this face-up card you control as a material, which is the shared ability of all of your Exosister main deck monsters. We then play 3 copies of Sophia. Sophia is a great 3-up because she has the ability, if you control another Exosister, you can draw a card. Then if you control an Exosister Irene, you can gain 800 life points. We then play 2 copies of Irene. Irene is a decent card, but you really only want to play 2 copies of her because she lets you place an Exosister card from your hand on the bottom of your deck and then draw a card. And if you control an Exosister Sophia, you can gain 800 life points, which is a really interesting concept for this deck to have, that basically each of these cards is a partner to another Exosister monster, so then you get added abilities when you activate their effects. We then play 3 copies of Lord of the Heavenly Prison. This card is a great card for the deck because I'm playing a trap lineup in this deck. So this card is really good because it has the ability that during your main phase, you can activate this effect, that this card in your hand becomes revealed until the end of your opponent's turn. And then while this card is revealed by this effect, set cards on the field cannot be destroyed by card effects. And if a set spell or trap is activated, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then, if you activated this effect, while this card was revealed, you can reveal and set 1 spell or trap directly from your deck, but banish it during the end phase of the next turn, which is a really good effect to be able to get to the exact spell or trap that you need in the deck. So, that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, since we are playing so many level 4s in the deck, I'm playing a single copy of Double or Nothing. Double or Nothing is a great card for this deck because this card has the ability that basically when you summon Utopia Double, you're going to search this card. And then once you search this card, you're going to summon a Utopia on top of the Utopia Double. It comes out at 5,000 attack points. You then can attack the opponent with the Utopia Double and then detach a material to be able to drop this card to boost the Utopia up to 10,000 attack points, which is super good. We then play a single copy of Harpy's Feather Duster so we can destroy all our opponent's back row so we can go into all our plays. We then play 3 copies of Exosister Pax. Exosister Pax is an insane search card that has the ability that during the main phase you pay 800 life points to add an Exosister card from your deck to your hand, except another copy itself, and then if you added a monster by this effect, you can special summon it. If the other Exosister monster mentioned on its card is on your field or in the graveyard, which is a very good effect to be able to just instantly get a special summon from deck by just basically paying 800 life points. We then play 3 copies of Exosister Armament. Armament is really good because this card basically helps you out if your opponent's not moving cards out of the graveyard. This card can actually help you XZ summon. You pay 800 life points and then target an Exosister monster you control and special summon 1 Exosister XZ monster from your X deck with a different name than the cards you control by using that target as a material. It's treated as as an XZ summon, and you can only activate one of this card per turn, which is a pretty good effect to be able to just immediately summon out a copy of one of your Exosister monsters from the extra deck. We then play a single copy of Exosister Carpe Diem. This card is a good one-of. It's easily in the deck searchable, and it has a really good effect that neither player can target Exosister monsters you control with effects of monsters that were special summoned from the graveyard. And you can only use the following effect of this card once per turn. If you XZ summon an Exosister monster, you can declare any card name and negate the activation effects of that card on the field with the original name, which is a crazy awesome effect that this card basically just stops any card that you want to stop on the field. It's an extremely powerful spell card, but you really only need one copy of it. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Trap Trick, because this is basically like playing extra copies of all of our trap cards, because it has the ability that you banish a normal trap from the deck, accept a copy of Trap Trick, and set a card with the same name directly from your deck to your side of the field. Also, it can be activated the same turn, but you can only activate one more trap for the rest of the turn. We then play 3 copies of Exosister Vardis. This card is a really good card because it has the ability that you pay 800 life points and then choose an Exosister monster from your deck, and then take one other Exosister monster from the deck that's mentioned on that monster and special summon them both, but shuffle them into the deck during the end phase. Also, for the rest of the turn, after this card results, you can't special summon monsters from the extra deck except for Exosister monsters. This card is really good because it can special summon out the exact cards that you need to make an XZ summon. We then play 3 copies of Storming Mirror Force. I like Storm Mirror Force in this deck a lot because this card has the ability that if your opponent attacks you, then you can return all your opponent's attack position monsters back to their hand, which is a really good effect, especially with all of our Exosister monsters having very low attack points. This card can come in very, very handy to basically just protect your Exosister monsters from being able to be destroyed by battle, because none of them have more than 1,000 attack points. We then play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence, which is a really good hand trap for this deck to be able to just stop your opponent's monster effects, and it's just an overall really, really good card. We then play 3 copies of Ice Dragon Prison. This card is a really good trap card for the deck that lets you target one monster opponent's graveyard and special summon it to your field, but its effects are negated. Then you can banish a monster from both players' fields that have the same type as each other. This card helps you out all sorts of different boss monsters and is a great 3-of in this deck because it can also give you a really powerful monster on your side of the field because you don't have to banish the card. That is totally optional. We then play 3 copies of Solemn Strike. Solemn Strike is here because basically this card has the ability that when a monster would be special summoned or a monster effect is activated, you can pay 1,500 life points to negate the summon or activation if you do destroy that card, which is a really good card effect to be able to just basically stop any monster that your opponent's going to summon onto their side of the field. So that's it for the traps, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Exosister Mikalis. This card is a really good 3-of in the deck. I really love playing 3 copies of this card because this card is an insane boss monster. It has the ability that it can't be destroyed by battle with a monster special summon from the graveyard, and you can only use each of the following effects of this card once per turn. That if you control this card that was XZ summoned this turn by using an Exosister monster as a material quick effect, you can target one card your opponent controls or in their graveyard and banish it. And then you can detach a material from this card to add an Exosister spell or trap from your deck to your hand, which is a really good effect to give you the search ability and a banish effect all in one card. We then play 2 copies of Exosister Caspatel. Caspatel is a 2-of because it's the second best in my opinion of all the Exosister cards. And this card has the ability that it cannot be destroyed by battle with a monster special summon from the graveyard. And you can only use each of the following effects of this card once per turn. That if this card is XZ summoned using an Exosister monster as a material, neither player can special summon monsters from the graveyard for the rest of the turn. And you can detach your material on this card to add an Exosister monster from your deck to your hand, which is a really, really good card effect. We then play a single copy of Exosister Asophiel. Asophiel is a 1-of to me, and she's a really good card, but I don't feel like I need any more than one. She has the ability she can't be destroyed by the activated effects of monster special summon from the graveyard, and you can only use each of the following effects of her once per turn. That if this card is XZ summoned using an Exosister monster as material, neither player can activate the effects of cards in the graveyard this turn. And you can detach your material from this card and then target a monster your opponent controls and return it to the hand, which is a pretty good effect to be able to just give you a bounce. Then we play a single copy of Gibran. This card is a good one of. I don't feel like I need any more again. Kind of like a Sophiel, you just need a single copy of this card. You can't be destroyed by the activated effects of monsters special summoned from the graveyard. You only use each of the following effects for once per turn. And if you control this card that was Exy summoned this turn by using an Exosister monster as a material, quick effect, you can target an effect monster your opponent controls and negate its effects until the end of this turn. And you can also detach a material in this card, and for the rest of the turn, all Exy monsters you control gain 800 attack, giving you that little bit of a boost that you might need to just go in for game. We then play a single copy of Gallant Granite so we can search our copy of our Lord of the Heavenly Prison. This card is a really good card to just basically get to the exact card that you need in the deck. Play a single copy of Utopia Double so we can OTK, because when you summon this card, you can detach a material, search Double or Nothing, and then summon a Utopia on top of this card, and the Utopia comes out at 5,000 attack points. You can then attack the opponent's monster with this card. It can't attack directly, and if the monster has 2,000 or less attack points, you're pretty much going to win, because at that point you negate the attack with your Utopia by detaching a material off it, and then drop Double or Nothing to go in for an additional attack, doubling the attack of Utopia, going in for 10,000 attack points. We then play a single copy of Utopia the Lightning, just in case we draw into the copy of Double or Nothing. You still have a 5,000 attack point monster to attack with, and it's so easy to summon out F-Zero and Utopic Draco Future in this deck by just using any two of your Exosister monsters. You can summon out your copy of F-Zero and then go into Utopic Draco Future. We then play a single copy of Gog Magician. This card is a really good card because it helps us go into our copy of F-Zero so quickly in this deck by just bringing back any XZ monster from the graveyard, and it's such a good card. We then play a single copy of Double A Zeus to round out the extract. Because you're playing all XZs in the extract, Double A Zeus is a great card to be able to just board wipe the field. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a really fun deck to play with. I highly recommend that you guys not try it out, Exosister. It's a really fun deck to play with, especially with it revolving around the buddy system. It's kind of a neat deck, and I really love this deck. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.